Hi, everyone. So my name is Stefania. I'm from Brazil. I work for Alvarez Marsal, and I hope everything goes well with my presentation. So, okay. I'm sharing today our first VDC mentor-led program results ever. So I'm a VDC mentor, and I'm a manager working at Alvarez Marsal for almost 3 years now. And before that, I was on a construction company in Brazil working for infrastructure. So, yep, let's start. So I've prepared my presentation in 4 different topics. I'll speak to you about A&M at first for you to know where I'm settled. Then I'll get you to know our mentor-led program, our challenges, and so on. I'll try to give you a VDC example because in 15 minutes to do everything, it's a little bit hard. But I'm happy to answer the questions afterwards. And challenges and next steps. So about A&M. We do consultancy services starting from capital strategy until asset management. So you can see we're involved in different phases of the projects. But most of our projects are made during construction phase of the projects, okay? So we do more consultancy during the construction phase of the project. And we came up with the third box, which is integrating project delivery. And using VDC was really actually to integrate the delivery of the projects, right? But most of all, starting during the project planning phase. So we're, if it goes, yeah. So we have these orange boxes in which we use VDC not only during the planning phase of the project, but during construction advisory. So we're dividing VDC on these different phases. And we have, through the mentor-led program, we have different VDC implementation results. So you can see some of them here below. Of course, I'm not going to all of those, but we have capital expenditure reduction during the planning phase of the project, so mitigation of 60% of the risk, schedule compression, and everything that is made before, of course, has benefits afterwards for the construction phase of the assets, right? Okay, so I'm actually presenting our VDC first case study, and I'm presenting the reduction of 23 to 25% of the shutdown schedule reduction that we have. And I hope you're going to like it. So speaking about our mentor-led program, so actually we had, I was leading this initiative there in Brazil for the first time, so we don't have great numbers, hundreds of people participating and joining. So I have a little bit small number than Norway or Peru, but we had 25 cases, more or less, 30 cases, in 7 different companies. And what makes me happy is to see that not only owners were joining the program, but we had also Alvarez and Marsal benefiting from the program themselves, because we had VDC application to our consultancy services as well. So it was not only to construction, but to managerial stuff. So we used the VDC framework to our consulting services. Again, some results, and here we have the 3 groups that we've made during the year. So, and then there was Martin and me and some Brazilian professors in a webinar that we've promoted with BIM Forum Brazil. Okay, so these were us. So from August, can I go back? Yeah. So from August 22 to June 23, we ran 3 groups, 3 introductory weeks, 3 midterm workshops, and 1 integration experience. It was a lot of work. And we ended up with 30 different VDC implementations, and I'm going to describe a little bit what we had. So as you can see, we had consultants, and we had HM Engineering, which is a contractor in Brazil for real estate, Vibra, oil and gas company, Gerdau, Steel, Paracel, Pulp and Paper, and Anglo-American Mining Company. okay? So it was really diverse. And as you can see, the majority of the people involved were consultants, but they were, of course, not doing projects for us as a company, but for our clients. So we had applications from our consultants to our clients, to the industry as well. And Paula is here, not let me saying anything wrong. And she was one of our participants, and of course, she can share her VDC implementation with you. Okay, so we have different project phases where VDC applications were in, and different industries as well, most of them in infrastructure, because Gerdau is one of our, well, A&M biggest clients. So we had different applications for Gerdau, not only from people working for Gerdau, but from our consultants. And I had a little survey in the end asking clients and A&Mers their opinion about the program. And then, as you can see here, the clients had a very positive feedback, which made me like, oh, okay, the clients like it most, then A&Mers, and then I got to think, why did that happen? And it was because actually the A&Mers were selected to be put into the program. It was not voluntary, so I want to do it. So we selected some people that maybe were maybe had a great fit, or were already working with BIM and so on, and they had to manage the different demands that they had, not only from the program but also other demands, other projects. So it was really hard to manage those stuff. So as this is a feedback, interesting feedback we had, but the owners, the client, really enjoyed being there. So again, although A&Mers didn't mention they really enjoy it and recommending A&M to do something like this again, they like it, the program. So, or they totally agree or partially agree. So it was kind of a success in terms of feedback. So I was happy about it. And I asked about the main barriers they see for the VDC applications, and some feedback actually involved BIM not being a current practice in Brazilian industry. So I am happy to know how you guys, maybe in Norway and then in Peru, how could I bring it to infrastructure? Because our BIM applications were mostly focused on visualization and not integration, nor automating things. So yeah, there's still pretty much work to do. And in your opinion, what industry VDC fits best? And I was glad that half of them, 2/3 of them answered that all industries could be fitted on VDC applications, and how could our company foster VDC used by its clients. And then we had market our VDC results to Brazil. Promote shorter trainings, because of course, not a 2-day training as Martin was saying, but because magic doesn't happen in 2 days. So things, they have to be done in a longer period of time. More training, so training and raising VDC awareness of our results, for example, were the most mentioned. So on the VDC example, I'm sharing you the VDC used during a shutdown, and I had a geographical problem because it's Northeast Brazil, not Northwest Brazil. But okay, so this was the framework. So we had a month to remodel the facility. It was for Gerdau. It was, and I was doing some research. So it's an electric arc furnace, the asset we were remodeling, and we had to install a heater, well, 2 heaters and a robot to reduce risk criticality of the operations. So the client was interested in reduce risk during the operations, because a person had to get below a box of melted steel and pierce it for the melting steel go down and under the other equipment that was below the box. So it was a really risky operation. So 1% of the scope should be completed before January. So we had almost December to do it. The challenge here was to assemble all the pipes before, because piping was critical and was a really risky activity, and we didn't want to have interference or restrictions made by the assembling of the pipes during the shutdown. So we use again, BIM to get a weekly bill of quantities of the pipes assembled per week. And 100% of the weekly plans should be using 4D. ICE to eliminate restrictions, and PPM to get us a rhythm or a rate of assembly that should allow us to assemble 150 kilos per week before shutdown starts, because we wanted to assemble all the pipes without restrictions. So actually, these were some of our metrics and our process. Sorry, it's in Portuguese because it was a picture that I got from the participants. So what was the benchmark was, and the method they were planning to do involved assembling the pipes during the shutdown. So it could cause some restrictions, some interference between activities. And then they decided to do it before, and not only to fabricate the spools, the piping, but also to assemble the pipes before. So fabricate it faster, assemble it faster or before. So then during the shutdown itself, it would be all assembled in terms of piping. To do that, we had to increase the capacity by 2. So we doubled the team working on the pipe assembly, which of course increased the cost. But the plan was, again, being reduced by 65%. And through the process of fabricating and assembling the pipes, we were doing monitoring progress weekly. So you can see some of our metrics down here. And you can also see that BIM and PPM were not being used from the beginning. So it took us 4 weeks to get everything running together. And the final results we had, here again, some of the metrics. We have used also VR and I was talking to SimG at the entrance, to monitor, identify, and maybe having an action plan to solve the restriction that we have identified. And these were the results. So 100% of the restriction were solved before shutdown. So we haven't had any problems due to restrictions during the month of December. 40% reduction in pipe assembling time. 30% schedule compression, because we've had a shutdown. Of course, that shutdowns have to be finished in a certain period of time, and they are commonly finished in that period of time. But to finish ahead of time and at this amount, it was really good for the client. The client was super happy, and we had a 12% capex reduction. So yeah, challenges and next steps of our program. So Brazilian market does not have awareness of VDC, but also a lack of BIM knowledge. At least our clients have not experienced BIM before, so we also have difficulties integrating information, standardization, so things that are crucial to a well BIM implementations. Owners frequently said that they wanted to try BIM alone first, so don't come with another acronym. I just want to try BIM first, and then I'll use VDC. So we had we had like 90% of our VDC applications were shadowed VDC implementations, because it was going to be too much for the client. Different languages. So with me, I had Carlos and I had Jessica, and they speak Spanish, and they do not speak Portuguese, so that was a challenge. And for us, it was a challenge as well, because people involved in the project are not used to Spanish. They can understand, but it needs translation. Case studies were only in English, so I had to translate everything to Portuguese for them to understand what was used. And all reference material was not in Portuguese as well, so yeah. I was a challenge because it requires a lot of dedication. So yesterday I was talking to Luis from Colombia. I don't know if he's here. And yeah, you have to be 100% dedicated to the project because yeah, it requires a lot. So as a consultant, it was really hard for me to manage my own project and the VDC program at the same time. Okay, so I was working for a project and I was teaching the program. In-person event and frequently check-ins should be no-brainer. And why I'm telling that? Because we had the same configuration of the program, the traditional one. And 2 days ago, I was listening to, I don't know if the Swiss speaking about having 2 midterms, or the Norwegians. Some of us were discussing about having 2 midterms. And I think this would be nice, because people are getting to know the methods and so on. So an in-person event made things go a little faster, and people really enjoy being together. And some flexibility in terms of corporate programs. Sometimes we need to be flexible with, well, the report is due Wednesday 21st. Okay, I was with a client doing a workshop, so we accepted one day later handouts. Okay. And integration and collaboration. There is a current difficulty in Brazil to look outside the hole, as we say back home. So once you're stuck in your hole, then it's hard to breathe and see what's happening across the world. So Brazil is continental, and BIM is not a common practice. Companies, as I said, are not used to standardization or collaboration. And there is sometimes our industry complains about, well, we don't have this engineering, we don't have BIM models, we don't have. So things got to change, and it starts with someone. So we have to start fostering not only BIM knowledge, but also VDC knowledge for people to know that it's possible. Okay, some next steps. So we are investing in 2-day training for them to really have what is VDC, and this should be a VDC pill. Like I'm showing what it is. You get to know what it is, and then we can have another group of clients, of owners dedicated to have this Safe Month program. We are going to, of course, update our A&M business strategy and products, including VDC, because we know that it's possible to apply VDC framework in different industries and project phases. And of course, we're going to leverage new VDC application led by A&M VDC certificate, now that it's not only me, but me and 18 other consultants that can multiply our VDC knowledge there. Okay? So thank you. I'm happy to answer the questions you have.